Howdy, howdy, my fellow gamers, and welcome back to Chapter 8 of Thunderhead for Storytime with Freak. Told you it wouldn't be 9 months. Let's go ahead and jump right into it, because this chapter is a short chapter. Probably going to be like a 2-minute video. It is important to understand that my perpetual observation of humanity is not surveillance. Surveillance implies motive, suspicion, and ultimately, judgment. None of these things are part of my observational algorithms. I observe for one reason, and one reason only. To be of the greatest possible service to each individual in my care. I cannot act on anything I see in private settings. Instead, I use the things I see to better understand people's needs. Still, I am not insensitive to the ambivalence people can have at my constant presence in their life. For this reason, I've shut down all cameras in private homes in the Charter region of Texas, like all the things I do in Charter regions. It is an experiment. I want to see if a lack of observation hampers my ability to rule. If it does not, I see no reason why I could not turn off a vast majority of my cameras in private homes around the world. However, if problems arise from not seeing all that I am capable of seeing, it will prove the need to eradicate every single blind spot on Earth. I hope for the former, but suspect the latter. The Thunderhead. Chapter 7. Scrawny with potential. Tiger Salazar was going places. After a life of wasting time and taking up space, he was now professionally paid to waste time and take up space. He couldn't imagine a better life for himself, and with all the brushing of shoulders with Sice, he knew that eventually one of them would take notice of him. He figured that he might have a ring held out to him and get a year of immunity. He never expected one of them would hire Tiger for a permanent position, much less a scythe from another region. "You entertained us at a party last year," the woman on the phone had said. "We like your style." She offered him more than twice the money he was making, giving him an address and a date and a time to be there. When he got off the train, he immediately knew he wasn't in mid-America anymore. In the Texas region, the official language was Mortal English, spoken with a sort of musical accent. It was close enough to common that Tiger could understand it, but working so hard exhausted his brain. It was like listening to Shakespeare. Everybody dressed a little different and walked with a very cool swagger that he could get used to. He wondered how long he'd get to be here. Long enough and he'd find himself buying a car that is long enough and he'd be able to buy himself that car his parents never would, so he wouldn't have to take the public cars everywhere. The meeting was in a city called San Antonio, and the address turned out to be the penthouse suite of a high-rise overlooking a little river. He assumed a party might already be going on, a perpetual one. That couldn't have been further from the truth. He was greeted at the door not by a servant, but by a scythe, a woman with dark hair and a slight Pan-Asian leaning who looked familiar. "Tiger Salazar, I presume?" "You presume right," he stepped in. The decor was ornate, which he had expected. What he didn't expect was the complete absence of other guests, but as he once told Rowan, he went where the day took him. He could roll with whatever got thrown his way. He thought she might offer him food or maybe a drink after his long voyage, but she didn't. Instead, she looked him over like one might look over livestock at an auction. "I like your robe," he told her, figuring flattery couldn't hurt. "Thank you," she said. "Take off your shirt, please." Tiger sighed, so it was going to be that kind of encounter. Again, he couldn't have been more wrong. Once his shirt was off, she studied him even more closely. She had him flex his biceps and checked out how solid they were. "Scrawny," she said, "but there's potential." "What do you mean, scrawny? I work out." "Not enough," she told him, "but that's an easy fix." Then she backed away and assessed him for a moment more and said, "Physically, you wouldn't be anyone's first choice, but under the circumstances, you're absolutely perfect." Tiger expected more, but she offered nothing else. Absolutely perfect for what? You'll know when it's time for you to know. And then, finally, it clicked, and the excitement swept through him. "You're choosing me to be an apprentice?" For the first time, she grinned. "Yes, you could say that," she said. "Oh man, this is the best news ever. You won't be disappointed. I'm a quick learner and I'm smart. I mean, not school smart, but don't let that fool you. I've got brains up the wazoo." She took a step closer and smiled. The emeralds on her bright green robe caught the light and sparkled. "Trust me," said Scythran. "For this apprenticeship, your brains aren't going to matter at all." And that is the end of part 1. When we come back, guys, we will be on part 2, Harm's Way. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to check out the links in the description below. And stay freaky.